Hi, I'm Amy, CEO and founder of Essery Labs, creator of Eyes with a Story, and I am back here today with Professor Jonathan Roos and Dr. Rachna Murthy from Face Restoration in London. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
I would love to continue our conversation that we just addressed in terms of eyelash growth serums. A lot of people have been asking me after our conversation in post about, okay, eyelash growth serums, but I'm a little bit confused because there are so many products on the market right now. And we addressed, say, the prostaglandins, but not as much as, say, the synthetic prostaglandins or the natural eyelash growth serums. So again, just to recap our last conversation, we were explaining prostaglandins and how they can encourage eyelash growth, but there are also synthetic prostaglandins, again, those chemicals such as, say, isopropyl coprostinate is one of them, which many of you may see on your packaging. But what I'd also like to say is that there are also other products in the over-the-counter that can, say, encourage or purportedly encourage eyelash growth serum. So let's go down that road a little bit, because I'd like you to explain again from your expertise as ophthalmologists, oculoplastic surgeons, eye care specialists, professionals, what do these eyelash growth serums do, and why those with sensitive eyes really should think twice about using them, whether they be prostaglandins, synthetic prostaglandins, or over-the-counter, say, natural eyelash growth serum enhancers or wishful serums.
I think, Amy, because I'm a less frequent user of eyelash growth serum or eyelash mascara, liners, etc., any cosmetics, I think maybe I'll start with the basic bit that I understand, and then Rachna will fill us in with the more advanced stuff. But a prostaglandin is an inflammatory molecule, and so it will have the side effect of causing lid inflammation, and lid inflammation will lead to lid gland destruction, which means less oil, and that means toxicity to the eyes, the very sensitive cells on the cornea. And you can't get away from the fact that these molecules were designed over millions of years to cause inflammation in the body. That's how we've evolved. So the prostaglandins, that's their job, that's what they do. We didn't expect them to cause eyelash growth. That was a discovery, and it just happened as part of a glaucoma trial that people found this, like we discussed the other day. But
the synthetic prostaglandins do the same thing. So
because they are similar. So I think probably it's one of these things where it's a balance. It's either going to be a prostaglandin, which means it's going to cause inflammation and it's going to have this interesting side effect of causing lash growth, or it's not going to be a real plus prostaglandin and it won't cause so much inflammation and it won't cause so much lash growth. I think I haven't seen any product that's been able to divide those two where you get the benefit but not the harm. If there were such a product, all the companies would have switched to that.
Okay, that's interesting, and again, we still have a lot to learn in terms of how to decipher the what's written on a package for the prostaglandin, synthetic prostaglandin, what's making our eyelashes grow, or what promises to make our eyelashes grow. So what I would like to reference actually is you were both part of a global consensus report, the TFOS Lifestyle Report, and you were on the subcommittee that addressed cosmetics. And what I would like to do is actually on this subject, there is actually a lot of discussion about eyelash growth serums, but there is one section in your subcommittee report that addresses natural eyelash growth serum, or say again, purported eyelash growth serum. And this section is on castor oil. Bear with me for a moment because I would like to read this because we can understand a little bit more, and then you can discuss what this exactly means. It's a short paragraph. So from the TFOS Lifestyle Report on Cosmetics on section 5.2.3, castor oil. Castor oil is used as an eyelash conditioner. It is also an ingredient in around the eye cream, eyeliner, eyeshadow, makeup primer, makeup remover, mascara, and serums. So anecdotal evidence suggests that castor oil stimulates eyelash growth, but there is no peer-reviewed scientific research indicating that the eyelashes can actually grow with the application of castor oil on the lash line. There is evidence that ricinoleic acid, the main fatty acid contained in castor oil, can help to inhibit prostaglandin D2. So again, those prostaglandins. Prostaglandin D2 has been linked with androgenic alopecia, and though more research needs to be conducted to determine whether this effect can be generalized to eyelash growth. And then one further comment down here is that ocular surface exposure to a castor oil solution leads to mild and transient discomfort and may promote corneal epithelial cell death and disrupt the epithelium. And ricinoleic is also known to cause a dose-dependent cytotoxicity of other epithelial cells. Okay, my eyelashes are cringing. Could you please explain a little bit what this TFOS report is talking about so we can understand?
It's very difficult to read that and immediately as a consumer figure out what any of that means. I need to simplify it for myself, and I had to simplify it, and we had to simplify it to be able to write the report. And so the first thing to say is it's really difficult to get evidence-based research. People need to report things to be able to write about these things. And so there is anecdotal evidence that when castor oil has been used on lashes, people have reported that their lashes appear fuller. Now, if I put oil on my eyelashes, they're going to look fuller. Now, that's one thing. That doesn't mean they're going to grow longer. That doesn't mean that they're going to be healthier, but they are going to look fuller. And so does that anecdotal evidence that my eyelashes look great with olive oil or castor oil or whatever oil mean that I need to put it daily on my eyelashes to make them grow longer, and they will? Does that mean that they're going to be very healthy things to be using around my eyes? Probably not. And so if we take the next bit that was in the report that you talked about, there was some evidence that castor oil can block one of these prostaglandins. And as Jonathan just said, prostaglandins cause inflammation. Mm-hmm. And if you are going to reduce inflammation, and part of that inflammation is responsible for causing hair loss, then you may actually help in some people who have hair loss. Some aspect of the chemical can cause less hair loss. Now, can you go from putting castor oil to getting hair growth? Because some people have had less hair loss with this product. I don't know how significant that evidence is.
So there isn't any peer-reviewed research. There isn't actually any public research that. I
think Rachna's explained that beautifully, because exactly that. If you just because you stop a process doesn't mean that you're promoting another process. And when these gentlemen with alopecia, when they start losing their hair, the actual hair follicles are dying out, and it's because of the inflammation. They're being attacked by the immune system and they're being killed off. And so, if you're able to inhibit that, that's not the same as promoting lash growth in somebody who doesn't have that problem. I just wanted to mention a few interesting things about this, because you're talking about castor oil. And the reason we have this ricinoleic word is because castor beans, which is where the oil comes from, the Latin name is something like ricinus something or other. And it's called that because it's got ricin toxin in it. So if you think, hey, I'm going to go out and get myself a castor bean, I'm going to swallow that thing and I'm going to get lovely hair, you're not, you're going to die. It's because in order to use this oil, you first need to boil and process the castor beans. But once that's been done, and the ricin toxin, which is a very powerful toxin used in biowarfare, once you've deactivated that toxin, it can be used as a laxative for constipation. It can be used as a moisturizer. The Egyptians used to burn this oil as for light in the ancient Egyptian palaces, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. And of course, it's also used in motor cars. So you'll see that there is castor oil that actually goes in cars because it's a good lubricant. So it's a proper oil, this stuff, but you need to make sure you get rid of the ricin.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important part that we should be taking from the report, that actually you can be allergic to this product. You can develop severe inflammation by putting the product all around the eyelids and the eyelashes. And that can cause swelling, and it can cause death of cells. So corneal epithelial cells, the surface cells on the clear window of your eye that allow you to see.
So basically, when you put this oil on your lids daily, that can impact your cornea. So corneal epithelial cell death. But could you explain what that means? I mean, what is the cornea exactly, and how does that play a role in our eye health? How does that make our eyes sensitive, more sensitive, or, you know, shall we say, terrorize the tear film and ocular surface?
So the cornea is the clear part at the front of the eye, through which you then see the colored part of the eye and the pupil hole in the iris, which is black. And the cornea has like 5 layers, and there is a constant replenishment of those cells. So some of the layers are cellular, and some of them are less cellular. Some of them is filled with something called collagen. It's actually very interesting. The white part of the eye is made of the same stuff, basically, as the clear part of the eye, the cornea, but the fibers are arranged differently. So in the white part of the eye, the collagen is like this. And in the clear part of the eye, the collagen's all arranged nicely so you can see through it. But it's an incredibly strong structure. It's a marvel of engineering. And on the corner of that cornea, you have something called the limbal stem cell niche. And so the whole time you have little stem cells sitting there dividing and sending new cells across the surface. So just because you have in the past used these products, you haven't had any permanent damage. So, corneal cell cytotoxicity means that the cells die, but they will be replenished. Just like with skin, there's a natural shedding process.
So why is it important? Well, it's your clear window of your eye. It is the bit that if you obstruct or you damage, you're not going to be able to see better. Why else is it important? It has the most number of pain nerves in the whole body located in that one area. So if you're damaging cells in that area, you're damaging the nerves, you're going to find your eyes are painful. And if you've ever got an eyelash in your eye, or you've got something in your eye, you know that is the work, probably almost as bad as childbirth. No, I'm kidding.
So basically, people with, say, dry eyes, for example, they have more sensitive cornea. Would that be the case? So then if they're adding insults with products such as this that can, say, stimulate the cell death, will that make the cornea more sensitive?
I think that's a great pickup line for any ophthalmologists watching this. Good evening. I'm an expert in the most sensitive part of your body.
Oh.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Have you not used that before?
No, I'm learning every day.
And I'd like to protect the window to your soul. So please, come into my clinic.
I think one important thing is it's a window, but actually it's not just that window. And I think this is why this product is so important, because on top of that window, there's a clear layer of water. And that water is the most important component of the window, because it's the water that bends the light to help focus the rays onto the retina, because the rays are coming straight from the distance, from the horizon, and then they need to be bent so that they fit inside an eyeball, which is only about 2.3 centimeters long. And so therefore you need a lot of bending power, and the cornea doesn't have that power on its own. It needs the water. And if you've ever put a straw in water, you'll see that the straw looks like it's been chopped in half, and that's how powerful water is at bending light.
So we know that the cornea, which is the front surface of the eye, is damaged by these ingredients, but you're putting the ingredients on the eyelashes. So you're affecting the skin cells, you're affecting the cells that line the eyelid margin, the waterline where you might be applying makeup and you shouldn't be, and we'll talk about that probably on another post. They're going to be affecting the glands that produce the oil that help the tear film as well. So all of these things are being damaged. The evidence, because we haven't got peer-reviewed papers out there, can't talk about it. And so we can't say, yes, it kills all of these cells, but we know it kills corneal cells. So if it gets into the eye, it's already caused a great deal of damage on its way to getting to the eye. So it's just, again, the tip of the iceberg. What's going on here is what we know.
I mean, we don't have a model here. We should have had a model of an eyelid But if you imagine that this is the eyeball, you've got the lid sitting on top, and from the lid, you've got lashes coming out. But the glands that lubricate, if the lashes are here, the glands that lubricate, they're just here. They're so close. So there's no way that you can apply something, any kind of substance to the eyelashes and not have it affect your meibomian glands, which are those important oily glands, which helps to make the water appropriate on the surface of the cornea. And Rachna wants to give a plug to the product that we developed, which is Purifies. Purifies is this amazing product. It's a pure, non-toxic thing, which is able to kill bacteria. And at the moment, we're talking a lot about putting toxic substances on the lid. But actually, in most people don't use this stuff, and lots of people have dry, sore eyes. And in them, it's actually due to a hypersensitivity to the normal bacteria, or an overgrowth of bacteria, or even little mites that live on the lashes. And so this sort of
the bugs are having sex on your lashes. They don't just live there; they're partying, they're procreating. So we have to maintain all of that. So giving them oils is actually feeding them as well. So I mean, that's another
sensitive eyes. You see, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. They're screaming, we need product on our lids and lashes, so we have food to feed us. Yes.
I hate to be the party pooper, Amy, but it is possible to party without having sex.
Well, the Demodex actually poop in your follicles too, or they defecate. Yeah, they defecate and die in your follicles, something along those lines. So you can be a party pooper and not have sex.
Actually, because we're talking about these Demodex mites, which are microscopic, so you'll never see them, but they're fascinating.
I do, you don't see them. Yeah, they're kind of crusty.
I don't know if later when we post this, if you can put a picture in of a Demodex mite, or if just Google it if you're sitting at home. Demodex mites are fascinating because they have grown and evolved with us over millions of years. And so they've lost some of their ability to live on their own. And so they need us. And one interesting thing, I think, if you can remind me, Rachna, is that they don't produce their own melatonin.
Yeah.
And so
that's right.
And so they are dependent on our circadian rhythm for how they act. And they will emerge and descend into the little follicles depending on the time of day.
Blah. So basically adding oils to your lids and lashes can incentivize these Demodex mites to come out and party. So that's just another little benefit.
Yeah. But I think this might actually lead on to another interesting post from
it might, yes.
Because there has been a lot of interest in killing these Demodex mites, because the theory is that they are responsible for inflammation. But what they actually do, they're like little homes for our natural microbiome. So they carry bacteria on their body.
Good and bad. So we have both, because
some of them are good bacteria and some of them are bad bacteria. So an overgrowth of bacteria that is bad can be nasty for us. Killing the Demodex doesn't necessarily have to be the treatment for people who have inflammation. And yet we have lots of products in our cosmetics that aim to get rid of Demodex.
And I would like to stop there, because I would recommend that our next conversation that can build into the Demodex conversation, since we've just discussed a little bit about the oils, I think we should continue on with more natural oils and carry on the conversation.
Before you wrap this up, I wanted to make one more point.
Absolutely.
And that is, we talk about these good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And the truth is, a bacteria can be good. There are some really bad bacteria, but there are lots of good bacteria that can be bad in the wrong person. It's not just these bacteria on their own, it's how they interact with the host. So sometimes it's not the bacteria that's at fault, it's actually you, because it's your immune system that's having an excessively aggressive response to what should be a normal bacteria. So sometimes the party poopers are not the bacteria, it's that we don't want to play in the same sandwich.
Or autoimmune issues, for example. So it's not, it may be oversensitivity or autoimmune activity.
Autoimmunity is when you attack a tissue that is you. I mean, these are bacteria, so they're not you, but you can be hypersensitive to bacteria.
Very good. Fascinating. See, there's so much more to the story. We have to continue this discussion. So moving it back to the oil. So in terms of castor oil, lash growth serums, whether you have a prostaglandin, a synthetic prostaglandin, natural oil, castor oil, what have you. If you're going to put something on your lids and lashes, please think twice if you have sensitive eyes, and please always speak to your eye care professional about using any of these products, because let's just say long lashes may not be the outcome. So I want to thank you again for this conversation, and I look forward to continuing the story with our next conversation about tea tree oil, another natural oil that may actually make you blink and think.
For that one, we'll have to be upside down, I think. Because it's from Australia, Rachna. It's from Australia.
I knew that.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Okay. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Until the next time.